Quilting and sewing can be a very expensive hobby. There are a lot of different notions and items you need to be able to complete your projects. You may need some new fabric. You may need a new tool to complete the project. There's a lot of different things that you may need to purchase to complete a quilt or another thing that you might be sewing. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 different things you should never throw away because you can use them while quilting or sewing. Don't you just love budget saving tips? The first thing you shouldn't throw away is vinyl bags. So these vinyl bags I often get when I purchase sheets or new blankets for the bed, anything like that. And they can come in really handy. So not only could you use them to store any projects you're working on, but you could also use them for bag making projects. So I used a little bit of vinyl here to make this cute little bag that I use to store notions and things like that in, and then I just added some vinyl decor onto it. Bags like this are really fun to make, and I like adding the little accent on it so that you can see through and see what's in the bag without opening it. So vinyl like this really comes in handy, and since you already have it on hand, why not use it? If you like to quilt like I do, then you probably purchase layer cakes from time to time. And on the back of them, you will find cardboard a lot of the time as well. Don't throw that cardboard away. I save the cardboard, it's a nice size, and then I will add fusible fleece onto it to make it into a design board. It is a quick and efficient way to get a design board. They are great to use for organizing your fabric pieces. The fusible fleece will hold onto your pieces really well so they don't blow away as you're transferring them to place in your sewing space. Something else I often don't throw away is batting of different sizes. So batting I like to purchase in large quantities, sometimes king size, and then I will cut it down for like a throw size quilt. Those extra pieces I'll either use for a table runner or a wall hanging, and sometimes I even piece them together to use for a larger quilt again. But you will also get smaller pieces that are great for maybe a coaster or a bowl cozy. So I never throw away my batting scraps. They almost always get used. But something else fun to use those small pieces of batting for is English paper piecing. So let me show you what I do. So I honestly program these hexagons into my Cricut and use the Cricut to cut out the hexagons, but you could also just use a template or something like that to cut them out. And then I just use them to hold the form of my hexagons and use glue to base them. And that is what I use in place of the cardboard or cardstock for English paper piecing. And I find it really convenient because then I don't have to remove anything. I already have all these scraps, and I really like doing that this way. And then I won't have to use any batting later once I get it all pieced together. I will already have the batting built in. So here is one that I am working on that has the batting in the back. And I actually do use fusible fleece sometimes too, if that's what I have scraps for. But I think it works really well. Now, if you like the feel of the harder cardstock, you may not prefer using batting, but I really like it. I feel like the pieces are easier to manipulate and fold over when I'm stitching. So I really have enjoyed using my batting scraps in this way. And it feels really good to use up things I already have on hand. Something I really use a lot when quilting and sewing is Heat and Bond Light. And when I use this, I often end up with small little pieces and I don't throw them away. Why? Well, like I mentioned before, sometimes I do piece my batting together to get larger pieces for a quilt. So I actually use the Heat and Bond light to hold those pieces together sometimes. So I have two pieces of batting here that I use the Heat and Bond light on to fuse along that seam, and it holds it really well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you remove the paper, this side is sticky too. So make sure not to put any heat on it unless you're okay with it. Think laying the quilt top down and heating there to hold it in place. It's kind of an extra security for when you're basting your layers together. So sometimes when I'm piecing these together, I just leave the paper on until I get the full seam finished. So I'll lay my next one here and fuse it so that I don't gum up my iron on the other piece if I remove the paper. So I don't remove the paper until I get all of the seam finished. And sometimes I don't remove the paper until I'm ready to layer the quilt. Then I remove it because I don't want to accidentally iron onto the sticky side of that and mess up my iron in any way. But I do love this as a way to use up those little pieces of the Heat and Bond that you can sometimes get. It just, for me, feels really good to not throw these things away if I can find a use for them. So the last item I don't throw away is chopsticks. Whenever we go out to eat at a restaurant that has chopsticks like this, they're always already out on the table and I don't know how to use them. So I usually end up just keeping them because I can often use them here in my sewing space. So chopsticks you can use as a stiletto to help feed your fabric through when you're sewing. You can use them to push out points on bags. So like here on this bag, when you're done with that corner there, your finger can't quite get in there really good. The chopsticks works really well for pushing in there and pushing out those corners. And there's a lot of fun uses for chopsticks. And I know that restaurants, often if they have it on your table, they're just going to throw it away when they come and clear the table. So why not keep them and put them to use? Now, something to keep in mind, some restaurants that have chopsticks do not have throwaway ones. They have like a pair that's more reusable. Maybe it's made of plastic or something like that. Don't take those. I'm talking about the disposable ones that you often see at restaurants. So that is just 5 of the things I never throw away because I can use them in my quilting and sewing. Now, do you have any items that you could share with us that you never throw away? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.